back on another episode of the Fashion Hive Podcast. I'm here with my wonderful co-host, Shaley Harper.
Hi.
And we are still here in Union Station alongside Kansas City Fashion Week for their Fall-Winter 2023 season. And here we are with one of their designers, Brydric from 511 Collection.
Yes.
And so, yeah, Brydric, you want to go ahead and take it from here?
Thanks for having me, guys. As Santos said, my name is Brydric Wright, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. And I have been designing for about 15 years, but I kicked off my business around 2019. So been doing this for a long time. I love it. It is definitely a dream being fulfilled. So yeah, happy to be here, be a part of the Kansas City fashion family.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here, of course.
Mm-hmm.
So, jeez.
No, you're fine.
No, that was bad. I got stuck. Well, this might be one of the first edits I have to make to a podcast episode. Okay. Well, just tell us a bit about your collection's aesthetic and what your fashion influences are and how that impacts your collections.
Absolutely. I mean, I would say my DNA is definitely down to the T of being bohemian streetwear. It's definitely something that reflects my life and how I grew up and how I currently live. It's very eclectic and it pulls from different cultures and very outgoing and bold. So I like to incorporate bold colors and exaggerated prints that can really stand out on the runway. But then it also allows me the opportunity to get a certain group or demographic to, step outside their box and outside their comfort zone. Ultimately, with my brand, I am always striving to make someone feel confident and be encouraged on the inside so that they can be reborn mentally, physically, spiritually, and so forth. Yeah.
That's my favorite part about fashion. Like,
yeah.
If you find the right thing that is your style and it makes you feel good, like, there's literally no like comparable feeling to like the confidence that you feel.
Right.
Because fashion is how people judge and like their first impressions are going to be of you, is how you display yourself. So if you feel like you are displaying your true self through your clothes, it's like the most powerful, confident feeling in the world.
That's it right there. I mean, you hit the nail on the head. So that's my ultimate goal with what I do through fashion. I just want to uplift people and make them feel good and also open their minds to the possibilities in their wardrobe. A lot of people don't know how to create color harmony and, mix prints and patterns together. So I just want them to know that they can do that and they can translate that in every arena of their life, whether that be the office or going to church or just walking down the street to Tom Thumb, who knows?
Yeah. So, I mean, when you're talking about that, I mean, with that everyday, every way almost lifestyle, what would you say so far has been your biggest challenges? And maybe it's even appealing to the consumer itself with your brand, but what would you say?
My biggest ultimate challenge has been something that I have lived, and I always share that with my people, whoever I'm talking to. It's like, I went to college and I was a very thick Southern Texas guy. I mean, I wasn't a string bean, trying to put myself into some, skinny jeans. I had have curves, and I say that for a reason because I could never find clothes that would fit me properly. Men's jeans are always too oversized, and I'm trying to find a cool shirt to wear to school, go to college at night or go to work during the day. And so that was my ultimate challenge. And I said, you know what? There's my niche right there. Let me figure out how to design and create clothes that can carry me to all of these different environments and still look great, still look extravagant, wherever it might be, because I was booked and busy, and I'm still booked and busy back then. And I'm speaking about, I was in college maybe 10 plus years ago, going to class full time, working 3 jobs literally, still going out to the bars, good old Trash Tuesdays, whatever, what have you, with my friends. And I created, my wardrobe around my lifestyle. And I found out that others were going through the same thing. And I can truly say I have tapped into that market, and my audience, they currently live that lifestyle. They're always are on the go. they have maybe evolved from that college lifestyle and now have that great 9-to-5 career, and they're traveling all the time, and they have certain titles. They're all from all walks of life, and they enjoy my clothing because it's A, comfortable, it's B, high quality, and it's something they have not seen before because I'm using these textiles and colors in a unique way where they're able to look comfortable but yet chic. So they definitely enjoy it.
You're totally right about needing to transition into professional wear, because I'm a senior in college.
Okay.
So basically all of my friends and I are going through that right now. We're needing nicer clothes for interviews, and we actually have to have nice clothes for work and whatever we're doing. And my friends are like, all I have is going out tops.
Yep.
I don't have real clothes. So it's definitely important to have transitional pieces that you can wear for any sort of occasion. I've really been focusing on that when I've been choosing clothes lately, because I used to not think about that so much. And now I have cool things that look cool to wear to work or look cool to wear when I'm hanging out with my friends.
Yeah, there you go. That's it right there, So I think I'll show my collection tomorrow night, and I believe the audience will see how, what we're discussing is translated on the runway, where you can see those evening pieces that you can wear for a cocktail event or some special occasion. But then also there are also the ready-to-wear items that you can dive into, and they can take you from day to night as well. So,
you mentioned a few times that you're really into prints and mixing prints. Do you have a favorite print?
Ooh, yes. Just going back to my whole bohemian roots, it would definitely be something that's tribal, something that has shapes and maybe not necessarily a muted palette, but just a neutral color spectrum, so that you can easily pair that with something else.
Yeah, that's good.
So I bring this up more to ask from your perspective, because it's a discussion that we've talked about on this podcast, and to a certain length. It's kind of, where would you personally draw a line between cultural appropriation and appreciation? And you bring up the Bohemian prints, and you talk about your roots, and I ask that question not saying that that's cultural appropriation, but I'm sure you see people looking at it from your perspective, and you see other people that are using this that you maybe say you're not using it the right way. What are your thoughts on that?
That's something I have given thought to, because I want to make sure I'm always telling my truth. I can only speak to what I know.
That's true.
And I grew up on a farm in East Texas, and my family survived by being entrepreneurs. My grandparents were farmers, and they had 10 kids. My dad was a sibling. He had 10 siblings. So, we didn't have a lot, but we had enough together. And I say that because we were a very eclectic family. We had hand-me-downs, but we also bought new items, and we mixed and matched and just made it work. And so that is my definition of culture for my brand. And so for me to say, oh, well, I'm going to go to South Africa and learn what they do and then inject that into my brand, I don't know if I can truly do and say that, because I haven't lived it.
Right.
I can go and talk to someone about it and learn about it, but I didn't grow up living that lifestyle, and I don't want to fake and pretend that, oh, I went to South Africa or wherever, and now I can put these prints or these architectural shapes into my designs because I went and visited. No. I need to go spend a year or two and really just live the culture and be appreciative of how they grew up in life, or how they're living their current lives. I'm very passionate about that, because I want people to be recognized for who they are and not feel ashamed about that. And I want people to see my designs, my collection, and say, hey, I can see your upbringing in these clothes, and I understand where you come from. And I mentioned, I grew up on a farm, and next thing I know, I hear, oh, I did too. And, I was that weird kid that wanted to get out of the small town and do something fun and creative. And that means a lot to me, because it says that I'm not only the only person that feels that way, but we often have a voice that's similar to ours, and they could often be right next door. We just don't know about it. So it opens up I'm not trying to get too deep, but it's like it opens the room up for conversation, and you just never know what people are going through. So different cultures are very important. I think we should just appreciate them for what they are, and if we want to dive into it, definitely take the opportunity. But let's not really say, oh, well, we can do all these different things in our designs and our brand when we haven't truly understood or taken the time to learn about it and live it, you know?
Yeah. I really respect your answer. Like, I think you explained all of that really well and really put it into, like, I don't know, a very, like, good, understandable way. Because what we were discussing earlier is, like, sometimes, I don't know, people see a lot of like blurred lines between appreciation and appropriation, and like don't really understand, you know, where the line is,
right.
Which is understandable because there's so many things that people do that they think is appreciation, but it's not, or like vice versa. People sometimes, some brands or designers do like intentionally try to like take things just for, you know, a new design. It happens often. Yeah.
I see it often.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think your, you know, definition of culture is one that like a lot of people can resonate to.
Yeah. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, Shaley's right. That answer was a rock star answer. And so we, you know, one of the things that I think a lot of people don't always understand, and you as a designer don't always have an opportunity to explain, is how you came up with the name of your brand, right? Because I'm sure that has a meaning. It sounds like a lot of other things, and how you go about shaping your business, and it sounds like your entire life has been behind a purpose. So what is there, or did you just kind of come up with two numbers? And
no. I'm not going to go off into a tangent, but in short, 5/11 is my birthday, May 11th.
Okay.
And the concept or the backstory when I was developing my brand name is that every year we all have a birthday, and oftentimes people reflect on their past year and they see how they have grown, or, you know, where they're headed. And that made me think, you know what, 5/11, because I am my brand, and I'm always speaking to that. I design around what I have lived. I can go back and show you each and every collection. Every collection is inspired by a trip somewhere that I have visited, like a destination I have visited, or it's inspired by something in the past. Maybe it's a family photo, and I have a certain memory of that relative and that attire that I want to highlight and recognize. So I want to speak my truth through what I have actually lived. You can't be authentic when you're putting out things that you haven't experienced. So 5/11 is my birthday, it's me, it's who I am. That's the definition of my brand. And to further explain it, the tagline is be free, be adventurous, be reborn. Because if you allow yourself to be free, you're going to go on a journey. My brand is always about going on a journey and not having expectations, but understanding that the journey is where you learn. It's not the end goal. It is the process of appreciation, whether it be good or bad in your life. And when you allow yourself to experience those things, whatever it might be, you're reborn. Reborn here, physically, spiritually, and you're better for it. And that's what I'm doing with my clothes.
That's amazing. So what are some of the places you visited that you mentioned that you designed based off of, or even if you just took a lot of like personal inspiration from?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not like this extravagant traveler by any means. I have a collection that is all white tones, cream tones, because I went to Arizona a few years ago, and just being out there in the desert and seeing the mountains, the landscape, it was really a moment of restoration for me and just being restored mentally, because I was going through a lot, and this was actually in 2019. So yeah, it helped me be reborn mentally because I had dealt with a lot of family losses that year. And like I said, I had the collection all in like these cream and white colors because it was the state of being reborn, mentally from those deaths in my family. And then after that, I recently launched my summer collection this year that was inspired by a Miami trip that I went to. And so that one was just really fun to dive into. I was able to work with sequins and transform them into the shapes of ocean waves on the clothing.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just a fun trip. It was at the time, it was my 25th birthday, and I had a lot of friends with me, and we just stayed up 24/7. And I can just remember vividly waking up, seeing the sunrise, hitting the ocean, and all those moments play into my designs. So
that's beautiful. I went to Miami earlier this year.
I love Miami.
And yeah. Well, we're going to be back in Miami in like 3 weeks.
Yeah, it'll be here before we know it.
Okay. I'll have to come join y'all. I mean, I can never skip out on a Miami trip. That's fun.
Yeah, our Airbnb was cheap, so.
There you go.
Oh, goodness. Well, I really appreciate hearing from a perspective of like the traveling component. We saw a designer last year she made an amazing dress, and it was actually based out of, or the thought came from Arizona as well, with the colors and the Grand Canyon and everything else. Everything that was those colors were inspired. And I feel like oftentimes we have a lot of the designers, and there's no wrong way to design, right? Like I want to preface that before I say what I'm about to say. But for someone who my memories are traveling, like, or going out and being adventurous, being free, all of those things which resonate with me, it's like I don't always connect with a story because I wasn't there when you lost your family. I wasn't there when this happened or that happened. Or I don't know what it's like to lose a parent, or any X, Y, or Z moment for that resonated with that designer that gave them that. But I can tell you, I mean, there's so many times that I've had something that, I'm like, I'm traveling and I'm like, I would do something like that. Like this, I should do this, I should do that. And I never have. So I can always appreciate those who are traveling but still working mentally.
Right.
Mentally they're still thinking. So.
Absolutely. Yep.
Do you have any travel plans coming up?
Well, this weekend for sure. I just flew in this morning from Dallas to Kansas, and then when I leave here and go back to Texas, I'll be going to San Antonio for the Texas Fashion Week happening the first week of October. I'll be showing on October 3rd in San Antonio, and then that same group, the Texas Fashion Industry Initiative, they are also recognizing creative talents in the state of Texas. And so I'm happy to say that I am one of the 3 designers nominated for Designer of the Year for 2023. So I'm very excited and honored about that.
Yeah, that's just amazing. That's such like a small like pool, like only 3 people being nominated is, I don't know. If that were me, I would just feel like that was insane.
It's a good heavy feeling. It's like, wow, that's a lot of weight to say, oh, you're nominated for Fashion Designer of the Year. They are recognizing me, and I've been doing this for so long. It's like, wow, okay, this is happening. People are seeing me, and I'm excited about it because I feel like I just have more to do and more to give, and I'm always wanting to connect with everybody and make everyone feel good about what we do in our creative world. It's important.
Yeah.
It's important to me.
If you were to convince someone, whoever decides Designer of the Year, in one sentence, like how would you convince them that you're the right one for that?
Oh, put me on the spot.
We're sending this to them. No, I'm joking.
Yeah, this is your audition tape.
The gag is. So, to convince someone that I am the Designer of the Year, I would just have to say that anyone that can persevere through 3 jobs and go to college full time and work around the clock, multitasking, a collection of business, a brand, is more than worthy of being fashion designer of the year, because it is not for the week. You have got to put in the hours. I have not slept in over 24 hours. I was working on my collection for Kansas City Fashion Week. Immediately, got on the plane this morning at 6 o'clock and landed and was doing a fitting. So it's like, I am here to win it, go the distance. So you're recognizing me and nominating me because I am the person that puts forth the effort, and I don't take this lightly. This is my love, it's my passion, it's my life. Yeah.
I'm convinced.
Yep. Yeah, 2 votes.
Oh, well, appreciate it, guys.
Yeah. Well, amazing. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
I mean, we're talking about one of the largest states in the United States.
Yeah. The largest.
Well, not population.
Not Alaska,
Yeah.
but
not
the
land
largest
mass,
continental state.
Yeah,
right.
Not land mass. Well, yeah, okay. And not population, but one of the largest states in the United States when it comes to influence, population.
Mm-hmm.
If you get recognized in a state like that, and you are recognized, right? The
Right.
fact, like Shaley's point, your top 3, that alone right there is you're a winner, right? Now, ultimately, at the end of the day, you want to take home and we hope that you get it for sure. But, it's not New Hampshire, not knocking New Hampshire, right? But you have to stand out amongst a crowd in Texas, and you've done that. And so, that's just amazing, and we're glad to have you on our runway here at Kansas City Fashion Week.
I'm so excited to be here.
Because it takes, we talked with someone, we've talked with a lot of designers from Boston and New York and all over, and it's amazing to me how Kansas City Fashion Week, most people wouldn't ever think of fashion.
Right.
And Texas, to a certain extent, yes, okay, pure population, everyone's like, well, that makes sense, right? But it's still the New Yorks, it's still the LA, all of that. So walk us through that a little bit of the dichotomy, so to speak, of being in Texas and having a vibrant, your colors, some of your colors and your designs and your textiles are just so vibrant, right? Have you received pushback in a state like Texas, or has it been a warm welcoming?
It has been an enormous warm welcoming, and there's actually a client of mine who's a dear friend of mine, and he's here assisting Cateau. His name is Bruce Brown, and he has been my number 1 supporter, and I just appreciate him. He lives in Texas, and he's always there, wearing my clothes because he travels so much, and he's that person that wants to go a different route and mix hot pink with lime green and what have you. So I am here for all his wardrobe needs and make it happen. Beyond that relationship, all of my other clients are pretty much the same way. They have some great grand trip they're going on, or they just want a special custom garment for an event they have coming up, and I'm always there to help them out. I've been even blessed to work with some great photographers and stylists in the DFW area. Little fashion guy in Dallas, Texas, great guy. His name is Dexter, and he got my first magazine shoot for Style Cruise in LA. So I was like, wow, this is great. You just never know the opportunities that are going to come about just being truthful for who you are. So
yeah,
absolutely. So Shaley can talk to this a little bit as well, and so I'm kind of interested to hear your thoughts on it. Shaley travels a lot, and so seeing the different fashion varieties, I'd say, across even internationally. What would you say is a place that you would like to see your clothes that it's currently not? And is that a barrier because of the acceptance of certain clothes, or is there not a barrier there?
ideal location, just because it's probably my favorite place in the world. I've never been outside of the country, but that's about to change.
Okay.
I just got my passport.
Awesome.
But I love Greece. I've always been infatuated with the Greek culture and their food in general. So I would love to go to Mykonos or Spain, go to Barcelona. Just any type of hot climate. I feel like that is where my brand needs to live, you know, and because I do a lot of tropical things, a lot of free-flowing gowns and just cool summer wear. It's my favorite season, so I think those hot climates could definitely benefit for wearing 511.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'll let you know next time I have a beach getaway.
Oh, absolutely.
Actually, we have several beach getaways coming up on the Adventures Cruise. So.
We ship nationally, internationally.
So weren't you earlier this summer? Weren't you in? Where were you? In
I went to Switzerland, and I went to Florence, Italy.
Okay.
And stayed in Capri for 2 nights also. So
how was that?
It was so amazing. My favorite, of the 3 locations, because it was like within 10 days of each other. Switzerland would be where I want to live, and Capri would be where I want to vacation.
Okay.
Because Capri is like a pretty small island. The population is only like 2,000 people.
Oh, wow.
Right. and we befriended a tour guide, so we got like drinks with him later, and he was able to really like tell us a lot about the island, and it was really neat. We were also on the island at the same time as Leonardo DiCaprio.
Uh-oh.
We did not run into him, unfortunately. But I loved Capri. And then Switzerland, like, it's so peaceful. I was like, this is my dream retirement place. Like, it's just so beautiful and green. The culture is so welcoming and kind. And I was really not, like, anticipating that, because in some European countries, they find out you're American and automatically just kind of don't like you, which is like, whatever, you know, they all have a right to their own opinions, because, you know, some people aren't great, but, you know, other people are. So, like, the people in Switzerland were very kind. They were like, wow, like, why would you want to come here? You know, it's like, because this place is beautiful. What do you mean? So, yeah, I don't know. We made a lot of acquaintances in Switzerland.
Okay.
Yeah, I love the people there.
That's great. I mean, that's good to know. Love that.
Well, and the reason why I asked is because, you know, oftentimes, you know, there is this idea that there are boundaries within fashion, right? Like the Midwest or what that looks like, and or the East Coast or the West Coast. And, you know, that's something that we've honestly tried through our fashion or through our podcast, is like tried breaking down those barriers, those ideas that there's barriers. Because I don't really believe that there's barriers, so to speak. I believe that to a certain extent it's just ideas and thought processes.
Right.
But I think your brand has the ability to, especially with you telling your message, resonate with a lot of people just because of the way it's, like you said, be free, be adventurous, like be reborn, like all of those things that no one has an issue with that, right? No, don't be free. You know what I mean? Like, no one, you know what I mean? Like, again, so it's just like, to a certain extent, like, your brand is for the people. And I think that it resonates because, I mean, you just walked up, you know, like, we got done filming an episode right before this, and you walked up and you're like, hi, you know, like, nice to meet you, you know, and like, some people were like having to walk out and like go get the designer. Like, I see you sitting over there, you know, like, come on, let's go, you know, like, so your brand is definitely you.
Absolutely.
Just to go full circle with everything, it's great. So I love it.
And I think, like, some designers, I feel like they kind of tend to lose themselves and get caught up in like trends, or like, oh, well, people don't really like this anymore, so I'm not going to design that. I'm going to design this because this is what people are liking. And they tend to lose their own voice in that. And then then it's like, what are you even doing this for? What are you designing for if it's not what you personally believe in, and it's not something that you would wear and rock any day? Right. It really, your brand does have to be true to yourself in order for it to be honest and
organic,
like, authentic.
Yeah, exactly. I just feel and believe that if you are, for me personally, I'll say it from that perspective. Like, me personally, I I keep up with trends, yes, but I don't go to them immediately to see, what's happening, what's cool. Because at the end of the day, I'm the trend forecaster. I'm the one putting out what I would like for you to wear next season, And oftentimes, I will be sketching throughout the year and not even plugged into what's going on in the fashion world, and I'll see what I've designed, something similar out there already, whether that be the textile use or the shape of the garment, even the inspiration sometimes. So, and it's not just me experiencing that. I know several designers that have gone through the same things, like, I made this black and white t-shirt and now I'm seeing so-and-so making black and white t-shirts with a little squiggly line across it. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think, a lot of, consumers of fashion don't really see the bigger picture of how trends actually work. And people forget that every trend is started on the runway. Like the runway is where we see the people taking the first step. They're like, people, your average person is not putting on, crazy things that they've never seen before. They usually get that inspiration somewhere, and it gets passed down the line of first it's on the runway, and then a major clothing distributor does, maybe they'll pick the same colors or the same patterns, or even down to the specific styles, and trying to get really close. But it starts here. Like, it starts at Fashion Week. It is the designers that you don't always see that are the brains behind what you're wearing now.
That is so true. It just happens to be the nest egg, the hub where fashion sort of takes off, and then those local designers are posting their work and their designs on social media, and that is an even broader audience. And next thing you know, you see the major chains picking those designs up, and it's like, okay, are we really here to help build a community, or are we just wanting to absorb what's already out there and just recreate it? So I often say, just stay true to yourself, especially about the young designers. It's like, do what you believe, whatever you feel that you're great at, run with it and make it better, because everyone's already kind of taking away from each other, and they're wanting to just copy and paste. And it's so easy now in the world that we live in. You can get a pattern off of Etsy and print it off easily. So it's just like, find your DNA, make it different, and just go to town.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think at the end of the day, your episode is really going to resonate with people. I really do. I think the way you carry yourself and your brand is impeccable, and it's being recognized. It's being recognized in Texas. It's being recognized here.
Yeah.
And I'm really excited to see the future growth. Like you said, you've been doing this for some time now, but since 2019, it's really taken off. So, I can't wait to see where it is in 2029. Give it a decade, right? And this is just amazing. I'm glad we had the opportunity to sit down with you.
Same. I'm so glad I met you both. This has been very special to me, and I wasn't, expecting to have this resonated conversation about 5'11", and so it's like, it's hitting hard now, because I feel the weight of all these experiences coming together. It's been one thing after the next. Every month this year has been something, and I feel and I see the growth, and that's how Kansas City Fashion Week found me. They saw my Instagram and we got connected, and the rest is history. And now I'm here. We've been talking about this since, April, May, and to meet you guys and just to have this, amazing conversation with you all, I'm just very grateful, and I want to say thank you to you both and to Kansas City Fashion Week. This is a very special moment for me.
Yeah, of course, and we're honored to have you on. We're so excited for Designer of the Year, and wish you the best of luck with that.
Thank you.
And I'm so glad I got to learn more about your brand and I find moments like these with designers really special, because otherwise, you know, you see the collection, but you don't get to really understand how, like, the story or the message. It sometimes, you know, it gets lost in the music and the fun, the bright lights. But yeah, I really admire you as a designer, and I'm really excited to see your collection.
I appreciate that so much. Thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
of course.
So before we wrap up today's episode, where can we send our followers and our audience so that way they could support you?
Okay, so you want to go to 511 Collection, and that is spelled out. I know there are no numbers. That name is already taken. Oh. But it's okay. You can still find me at 511collection.com, and my webpage has my Facebook and Instagram profiles linked. So I'm also on TikTok, so trying to get that video content out there.
Go follow that.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness you weren't born in, like, you know, July or anything, because then it'd have to be 7-Eleven, you know, and then
can't compete with that.
Yeah, and then people are like, you're like the gas station.
Yeah, there are no free Slurpees over here.
Right. Awesome. Well, thank you again, Brydric, for being with us.
Yes.
Shaylee, thank you again for being on another episode with me. As we rotate through the co-host here, it's always a good time to have you on the couch with us. So.
Of course.
Shaylee, where can they find you at?
You guys can find me on Instagram at Shaley Harper. That's ShaleyHarper.
And then, as always, you can find me on Instagram at Reverend_Sants. And then make sure that you follow the Fashion Hive Podcast. If you found us on Spotify or YouTube, follow it on Instagram or on Facebook. And then plug into 511, buy a couple of his garments, and check out. And let's hopefully by October, we could say that we sat across from the winner. So again, thank you again for your time, and get some sleep. It sounds like you've been up for quite some time.
Oh, so. Yeah. Yeah, the hotel is calling me right now. So.
Okay. All right. Well,
Thanks,
thank you
guys.
again.
Yes.
Thank you.